Hello and welcome back to BTY. My name is Michael, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Daniel Hammond. And today we are recording an episode about easy equities and how you can use this to invest your money and basically what our strategies are. Starting off with this app, this is an app I've been using for a while, but Daniel's just getting started with it now. So we want to kind of discuss the idea of you know, if we could go back and start investing, what would we actually do and what would we start with? What kind of things would we invest in? So, Daniel,
Yeah.
you recently got your account up and running for Easy Equities. What have you seen
I
there, and,
have,
and
I
what is
have.
your plans for investing at the moment, man?
Yeah, so just a disclaimer before we start off
Yes,
and giving you guys advice. So this isn't actually financial advice. This is just Michael and I sharing our experiences as 20-year-olds who are on our way to probably being financially free in the next 10 years or a bit more or a bit less. But yeah, we
let's
aren't
go.
financial experts, so this is just advice that we are giving based on our experiences, and we just want to share with you what we've learned so far ourselves.
Exactly that, man.
So, Michael, I must say that Easy Equities has been an app that I've looked at for the past 4 years. I've actually struggled to get my KYC. Otherwise, I might have been on this journey quite earlier,
Mm,
but it's it's a wonderful app, and here's why. It's got so many different avenues that you can look at, and it caters to all different types of investors. If you are looking at making money aggressively, or if you're just looking at building up your retirement funds, and if you're looking at a long term or a short term perspective. So, on Easy Equities, you download the app from your app store. You get verified by providing them with your ID and your bank account. But yeah, that's the basics that you can look into. Why Michael and I looked at settling with this app is because it's got this wonderful initiative where they have you actually investing every month as just a way of encouraging you. There's this thing called Thrive where
yeah,
you have to do a few things, and the most basic you can do is just investing more money than what you withdraw from your account so that they don't penalize you by deducting 25 Rand from your next investment. Secondly, I enjoy Easy Equities because not only can you invest in South African markets, but you can invest in a whole lot of global markets like the US markets,
mm.
the Australian markets, the Chinese markets, and many more. So that's just a few pointers to get you off with this video. But what would you say, Michael, has been your experience so far?
Yeah, man. For me, it's been always it's always a topic of discussion when I'm with friends and so on. Uh, because yeah, investing is something that I find very interesting. I can credit that to my economics teacher, I think back in the day, who was taking us to these seminars where we would be hearing from these companies that were actually managing people's money, for example. So yeah, that was kind
Yeah.
of where my interest for that started. And yeah, we were learning about the
Mm,
ETFs. He was telling us about his own personal investments as well. So I think that's
sure.
what got me started on this. And as soon as I finished high school, I was looking for ways to begin investing the little amounts of money that I had. And Easy
Yeah.
Equities was what I found, man. And I've been able to use it to some good success, I would say. You learn as you go along. There's definitely some investments that I've made, maybe some decisions that I've made that weren't always the best, but you learn from the doing, man. And
Yeah.
yeah, another cool thing before we get into the specifics of what we invest in according to our strategy, man.
Mm-hmm.
One other cool thing that Easy Equities offers is the Easy Equities Academy. So that's actually another way that you can also increase your Thrive score. Yeah, you have to get a level 3 Thrive score, which, like you say, you can just achieve by investing every month more than you withdraw. Another thing that you can do to get that score up, um, the Thrive score also lowers the amount of, obviously Easy Equities is going to make some money, so they do have very small transaction fees on each transaction. But the higher your Thrive score, the less that fee is going to be as well. But yeah, you can
Sure.
make use of the Easy Equities Academy by, yeah, it's basically free content on, and basically allowing you to become more financially literate, learning what all these
Mm,
terms like ETF and ETN are, what kind of strategies are worth looking at, and also things to avoid. Like, there's a lot, I've seen things there on, yeah, pitfalls to avoid and so on and so forth, and lots of other interesting
mm,
things. And this is all free stuff. Like, you just enroll in these courses. I've done one or two of them myself, and yeah, you can actually learn that way through the app. So there's so much to it, man. I know you also mentioned there's like retirement funds, but there's things now about getting invested in property through the Easy Equities app. You can do a tax-free savings account. There's unit trusts. So, like you say, man, there's a lot of options in front of you, and it's been cool to see them implement more and more of these options. But so then, like, you obviously just getting started on the app. There's so many
mm.
different options in front of you. What is making you? What have you invested in from the start? And tell us maybe why you've chosen those things as opposed to, yeah, the many various options that there are. Man, I'm keen to hear.
Yeah, so one thing that I've been speaking about a lot is that if you're going to use a specific product, why not invest in that product yourself so that your investment can perhaps buy the next product that you're going to get down the line. So the first stock that I got myself was a fraction of Apple.
Hmm,
And this is just because I believe in Apple products. I've got a Apple smartphone and it's done well for me, and I've just seen how they've progressed with their smartphones over the last couple of years. That's why I've been getting into it, and because they are also doing a lot of innovation with Apple itself and always trying to stay at the forefront. But
that's
what
cool.
I also looked at before getting into the Apple stocks was looking at their due diligence and how it's been growing since it was listed on the US stock exchange. So when you do that, you have to also make sure that has the stock been growing in an upward trend, or
Yeah,
has it been growing in a not growing, but has it been declining in a
yeah,
downward trend?
it's a good one.
So there's due diligence that you have to do when you're looking at different stocks that you have to buy. And then I bought this other stock which is called the Cetrix AI, but I don't have the specific name. We'll probably throw it up on the screen for you right now.
I've got it. I've
And
got it.
this, all
Um,
right, you got it. Yeah.
yeah, that's
So
the Signia iTrix Fang.ai AM ETF. So that's an ETF provided by Signia, which
yeah,
yeah, is an ETF on AI companies, man. It's also one I'm invested in.
yeah. And the reason I invested in this is because before I started investing, I asked Michael, since you've been on Easy Equities, what stocks were you investing in and how did they do? And that's how I also got into this stock. So shout out to Michael for giving me the tip to buy this stock. Then, yeah, that's basically the first two stocks that I've bought. What I'm also looking at buying mine with my next investments is the Cetrix 40 and the S&P 500.
Yeah,
And why I look at these stocks is because with the Cetrix 40, you're looking at buying an ETF from the top 40 companies in South Africa, and that's already a diversification in itself. So this
that's
is
true.
a less aggressive stock, and it's a bundle of companies that are being managed together if you're looking at it in that way. So this is just because my strategy going into Easy Equities is long term. I'm not looking at making money quickly, but
Mm,
I'm looking at making money over the long term and having compound interest work for me. And that's also why when I invested, once my dividends pay out, I've structured it that it goes back into buying more stocks
That's great, man.
rather than being paid into my Easy Equities account. So that's just broadly my strategy and what I'm looking at doing with the app itself. I think once we get going, maybe a couple of months down the line, then we can share an update on this. But what stocks have you been looking into, Michael, since you've been on this app investing a bit longer than me?
Yes, man. One thing before I get into that, I wanted to ask you. You said that you've enabled it so that the dividends that get paid out get put back into the stock. Is that a setting on the app?
It's a setting on the app, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's something that I've always done, but I've done it manually from the
Mm.
app. You know, it pays into
Okay.
your, like you said, when you invested into some of these stocks, they pay out dividends,
Mm.
which is a percentage of the stocks that you own or the shares that you own. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool, man. You must definitely share with us how we can do that maybe at a later
definitely.
stage. But
I'll show you, yeah.
yeah, so for myself, man, I obviously have quite a similar outlook. Um, in that my strategy is also long term. If you look at my portfolio at the moment, the majority of the money is sitting in ETFs, exchange trade funds of different ones, and there's a couple that I've heavily invested in, which I'll mention now.
Mm.
So the one that I have put quite a bit of money into in is Invest Gold, spelled One Invest Gold. So that's a company, South African company that has basically
Mm.
created an ETF around the value of gold. And gold is something I've always wanted to be invested in as well. So
Mm.
without buying physical gold, this is a way that you can kind of invest in the value of gold. And that's also one of
So
my
cool.
top performances or top performing stocks that I own. So that's a great one.
Sure.
And like you mentioned, man, the Satrix S&P 500 is just a way that you can invest in the S&P 500 through the South African through your South African account. You don't actually have to put money into your American one. You can just do the Satrix S&P 500. Unless you wanted to invest directly in the S&P 500, then you would do that
Yeah.
through your American accounts. But yeah, like I said, I make use of the South African one. You mentioned already that Fang AI ETF, which is offered by Signia. I've invested in a few different ETFs from Signia. It's definitely worth checking out what they have to offer, man. If you
Mm.
just search on the South African market there for Signia, you'll see a whole bunch of different ETFs. They have ones basically providing there's one that they have on the Euro stocks top 50, so that's kind of like
Sure.
the S&P 500 but for Europe, the top 50 companies in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
They've got one for Japan as well, and India, which I'm invested in as well.
Sure.
So I like to have a bit of a diverse portfolio, and I do like to invest in
Mm.
those kind of ETFs that are based on like whole market shares of countries, because that's that way you are, like you say, getting a taste of what the market like is in each of those countries. Obviously, like you say, man,
Mm.
the one thing that I do before I invest in anything is look at the graphs that ETF provides, which is 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, and then they've got a max which shows the lifetime of that stock's performance. And I always just check that, like you say, it's on an upward trend. But sometimes if you want to really find a diamond in the rough, then you've got to look past that and actually see for something that might just all of a sudden go up. So that's if you're on the more aggressive side. But like you say, man, I think we are perhaps a bit more calm with our investment strategy. One other cool thing that I do want to
Yeah.
mention, man, is some ETNs. So I haven't actually invested any money into the American account. What I've
Mm-hmm.
done in terms of buying stocks that are, like perhaps an American company, for example, like
Mm-hmm.
I've invested in these ETNs. So that's also again on the South African market you can find, and basically that is something that basically will represent a value of a company in a different country. So again, it just
Sure.
allows you to invest in the value of that company's stocks without physically doing it, kind of like that Satrix S&P 500. So
Mm.
through that, I've invested in like a Netflix ETN, which has actually
Sure.
performed very well for me. I wish I'd put a bit more money in that. Their stock's been
Mm.
going up quite a bit. Tesla and Nvidia, which are obviously two very popular, investment choices in America. I know people are always talking about Nvidia and Tesla because the stocks
Yeah.
can go up. At the moment, they for
I
myself
think
when I
Tesla took a
invested, they
bit of
aren't.
a hit.
Yeah, exactly. It took a bit of a knock with all that's been happening
Yeah.
recently. But as a whole,
Mm,
yeah, good things to be invested in. So there's Netflix, there's Tesla, there's Nvidia, and there's even Goldman Sachs Group, which I'm sure you've heard of.
sure.
Another very popular
I've
investment firm in America.
yeah.
And I'm just invested in these through these ETNs, which is actually offered by
Mm,
FNB on the app. So I'd say that's definitely worth checking out. Some of those have performed quite well for me. And then when it comes to individual stocks, what I've seen has done well for myself. There's a few classics in South Africa, and these make up, some of these are in the Satrix 40 companies that are
40.
making up that ETF. But you've got
Mm,
Naspers, which is one of the biggest companies in South Africa, and has always been a solid investment option for South African investors. Just a good long-term performer. And same with Capitec. Capitec, their stock has also been a very good performer over the last 10 years plus. So I've also got
yeah.
some money in there. And then a couple of stocks that are maybe not as high in value, but that I've invested in and that I think could do well. Um, and yeah, something I would invest in if I had the chance to starting over again. Would be Discovery, the
Mm,
Discovery stock, and We Buy Cars is also one that's performing
sure.
relatively well for me at the moment, man. So, yeah, those are some options that I've seen, man, and I think these are just ones that I've seen that have performed well for myself personally.
Yeah.
And this is without even getting into what's probably performed the best for me over my time in Easy Equities is the crypto ETFs that they have, like the EC10 and the ECA20. But yeah, crypto is maybe something we can get into on another episode, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's also something to mention that like you just brought it out there,
Mm,
the Easy Equities crypto account that you can look at.
yes,
So let's say like for example, I before I started trading on Easy Equities, I had crypto in altcoin trader. I still actually do. But what you can do then is since you've got these cryptocurrency wallets, you can actually transfer your wallet from altcoin trader and then you can put it into a wallet in easy equities so that you've got your whole portfolio on easy equities and it actually tracks all of your investments into one portfolio. So that's to have all of your investments under one umbrella. And then an interesting feature that easy equities brought in now is easy prop, which is where you actually buy fractions of a property with other investors.
sure.
So let's say you're really into real estate because real estate is also a really attractive investment because of
Yeah,
its stability and the fact that it's an appreciating asset. So it's always going up in value and you rarely see that it declines. So it's something that brings stability to your portfolio. And if you don't have enough money to go and buy an apartment, you don't have the skills to manage that apartment and get your tenants, draw
for
up
sure.
leases, you can actually buy parts of property on easy equities and it does all the management for you. You just get your dividends after the property management fees has been deducted, the maintenance, the levies, all
Sure.
of that gets sorted out through the Easy Equities management team, or they probably have consultants that work for them. But this is interesting because when I went onto Easy Equities Prop, I actually saw that they've currently got listed apartment block in Blouberg. So that's very cool. Then you can actually buy some, like a fraction of a property in there. And
Sure.
what they do is 70% of the invest of the fund for that property comes from easy equities, and then 30% is serviced by a bond, after which you then or they pay off that bond with the rental income that comes in over the next few years.
I
But
see.
it's really an interesting feature that Easy Equities has. And then I've seen that on Easy Equities, if you are looking to get a bit of credit, you can actually get credit against your investments And that's actually what a lot of wealthy guys do. Instead of going to the bank with a lot of income that gets taxed, they always take out loans based on their investments. And because stocks are always growing and your portfolio keeps growing, you take out the credit and then it pays itself off, or your stocks, they secure your credit. And what's nice is that your money doesn't depreciate, it actually appreciates. So that's also
Oh,
something you can look at if you're looking at trying to get your tax as low as possible. Same with the tax-free savings account on Easy Equities. So
mm,
there's a lot that you can look into with this application, and it's definitely something that's going to set you in the right direction. Instead of just saving your money in the bank account, put it in Easy Equities and have your money work for you, have it grow over time.
definitely, man. And yeah, excited to work towards that eventual financial freedom that you spoke about in the beginning there, man. And
Yeah.
yeah, cool to record these kind of episodes. And yeah, good to be back, man. We've been taking a little break for the last month, but good to be back on it with you.
Yeah, it's been good, and I hope that we can carry on strong now. Michael and I have been looking at a couple of things that we want to implement, do differently, not just over YouTube itself, but just in terms of our vision for BTY being something much broader than just making videos. But we definitely
100%.
enjoy the content side of things, and we thank you for being part of our journey. So make sure to subscribe, to comment, and to share to friends if they are going to find this video helpful. And thank you for staying to the end. We appreciate you and much love. Cheers.
Much love.